I don't know if you're anything like me, but lately I've been watching these doctors on YouTube talk about diabetes symptoms. So I wanted to share a little bit of my own personal experience and what actually happened to my body. Back in 1983, I hardly even knew what was playing on TV, but I got lucky. I managed to avoid diabetes by spotting 5 early warning signs in my feet and using this specific food. And today, at 108 years old, I can still walk on my own, cook my own meals, tend to my garden, and sleep soundly through the night without ending up in a nursing home like so many folks I see around me. My name is Deborah Jane. I was born in 1917. I have outlived 2 wars and the Great Depression. I have watched medicine change from house calls and cod liver oil to miracle surgeries and gene therapy. And in all of those 108 years, the single most important thing I have learned about staying healthy is something no doctor ever wrote on a prescription pad for me. It's the secret to avoiding suffering in our final years, and I'm going to share it with you right before I say goodbye at the end of this video. Please drop your name and age in the comments because I would absolutely love to make some new friends. So, how did I avoid diabetes when it was right at my doorstep? I want to tell you about Eleanor first. Eleanor was my dearest friend for nearly 50 years. Eleanor started waking up 4, 5, sometimes 6 times a night to use the bathroom. She told me at first she thought it was just age. "Deborah," she said, laughing it off one morning over coffee, "my bladder has decided it wants to run its own schedule." We laughed together. We shouldn't have laughed, because what was happening inside Eleanor's body in those sleepless nights was not a quirk of aging. Her blood sugar had been climbing for years, silently, and her kidneys were working around the clock, trying to flush the excess glucose from her blood. Her body was crying for help in the only language it knew, and we dismissed it as a punchline. Within 2 years, Eleanor's vision began to blur. Then her feet started hurting so badly that the shoes she had worn comfortably for a decade felt like they were made of broken glass. She stopped driving. She stopped coming to church. The woman who had mowed her own lawn could no longer walk to her mailbox without stopping to rest. I visited her as often as I could, and every time I sat beside her, I could see her independence slipping away like sand through fingers, and there was nothing I could do. I didn't have the knowledge then. I just had helplessness. Eleanor went to a nursing home at 84. She never came back. Then there was Ruth. She was always thirsty, always. She kept a water glass beside her at all times and refilled it constantly, and we all just assumed Ruth was someone who drank a lot of water. We didn't know that unquenchable thirst was her body screaming that something was wrong with her blood sugar. By the time Ruth was diagnosed, the damage had already been going on for several years. Her nerves were affected. Her feet were numb in ways that frightened her. She told me once, near the end, that she had felt a tingling in her feet for so long that she had simply stopped noticing it, the way you stop hearing a clock on the wall after a while. "I thought it was just part of getting older," she told me. "I didn't know it was a warning." About 30 years ago, when I was in my late 70s, I started paying very close attention to my feet, partly because of what I had watched happen to Eleanor and Ruth, partly because my own doctor, a good man, thorough and honest, had told me that my blood sugar was creeping in a direction he didn't like. Not diabetic yet, he said, but heading somewhere I did not want to go. Here are the 5 signs I looked for, and that I believe every single one of you should know before you go to sleep tonight. Sign number 1, tingling or numbness that keeps coming back. The very first thing I noticed, and the thing I hear most often from people who later discover they have blood sugar problems, is a recurring tingling or numbness in the feet. Not the kind that happens when you cross your legs too long and everything falls asleep for a minute. I mean the kind that happens for no clear reason, comes back regularly, sometimes wakes you up at night, and has become so familiar you have stopped mentioning it to anyone. I had a mild version of this, A gentle buzzing sensation in my toes some mornings. I almost ignored it. I am so grateful I did not. Here is what that tingling actually means. When blood sugar stays elevated over time, it begins to attack the protective coating around your nerve fibers, the same way acid slowly eats through the plastic insulation on an electrical wire. The wire still functions for a while, but the signals start getting fuzzy, distorted. That fuzz is the tingling you feel. Your nerves are sending scrambled messages because their protective coating is being eroded by excess sugar in your blood. The American Diabetes Association estimates that nerve damage of this kind affects nearly half of all people with diabetes, and it almost always begins in the feet, years before a diagnosis is ever made. If your feet tingle regularly without a clear reason, please do not explain it away as age. It is a signal. Honor it. What I did, I started walking every single morning. Not fast, not for miles, just a 20 to 30 minute gentle walk. Movement keeps blood flowing to those nerve endings and slows the damage. I did this every day for decades. I still do it today. Sign number 2, a burning sensation in the soles, especially at night. Eleanor used to mention this, and I never understood what she was describing until I read about it years later. She would say her feet felt like they were on fire when she lay down at night, even in the cool of an air-conditioned room, even with nothing touching them. She thought it was circulation. She thought it was the mattress. She thought it was everything except what it actually was. Burning in the soles of the feet at night, particularly when there is nothing external causing heat, is one of the earliest reported symptoms in people who are later diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. In many cases, it appears 1 to 3 full years before any formal diagnosis is made. What is happening is this: the nerves in your feet have already been damaged by prolonged elevated blood sugar, and damaged nerves do not go quiet, they go haywire. They send a heat signal to your brain, even though nothing hot is touching your foot. Your brain believes a fire is happening because the sensor that reports temperature has been broken by sugar damage. It is exactly like a smoke alarm with a faulty sensor going off at 2 in the morning when there is no fire. The building is fine, but the alarm is broken and it is screaming anyway. That screaming is your body asking for help. What I did, I made sure to drink at least 8 full glasses of water every day, without exception. Proper hydration helps your kidneys flush excess glucose and supports the health of nerve tissue. I also added more fiber to every meal: oats, beans, vegetables, because fiber slows the absorption of sugar into your blood, which is exactly what struggling nerve tissue needs. Sign number 3, a small wound that simply will not close. This is the sign that frightens me most to talk about, because it is the one that took so many people I knew to places they never came home from. A blister from a new shoe, a small cut on the heel, a scrape on the toe, wounds that healthy bodies close in days. When blood sugar has been elevated for a significant period, the tiny blood vessels throughout your body, including those in your feet, begin to narrow and harden. Oxygen, healing nutrients, the white blood cells that fight infection, they cannot reach the wound efficiently. The wound sits open, it waits, and an open wound on a foot with compromised circulation is not just slow to heal, it is an infection waiting to be invited in. The Centers for Disease Control has reported that diabetic foot ulcers are the leading cause of non-traumatic lower limb amputations in the United States, more than 100,000 every year, and the vast, overwhelming majority of those amputations began as a small wound that was ignored. I never ignored a wound on my feet, not ever. After every bath, I sat down and looked at both feet carefully, between every toe, along every heel, across the entire sole. Any cut, any crack, any broken skin was cleaned immediately, treated with antiseptic, and covered. If it had not improved within 48 hours, I called my doctor. Not next week, 48 hours. That habit has never left me, and I believe it has saved more than my feet. Sign number 4, persistent coldness in your feet, even in warm conditions. When Eleanor's daughters finally told me, after the fact, what her last years had been like, one detail stayed with me. They said that no matter how many blankets they put on her bed, her feet were always cold, in summer, under 3 layers of quilts, cold in a way that warmth simply could not touch. Persistently cold feet, cold in July, cold under heavy blankets, cold when the rest of your body feels perfectly warm, are a sign that circulation to your lower extremities has been significantly compromised. The blood vessels that carry warm blood to your feet have narrowed or stiffened to the point where sufficient warmth is simply not arriving at its destination. Think of a heating system where the pipes to the far rooms have been slowly narrowing for years. The furnace works fine, the pipes are the problem, and cold feet in that context are not a quirk or a preference. They are a message about your pipes. The American Heart Association identifies peripheral artery disease caused by exactly this kind of blood vessel narrowing as affecting over 8 million Americans, with diabetes being the single largest contributing risk factor. Cold feet are among its most consistent early symptoms. What I did, I walked, not a stroll, a purposeful, arm-swinging, brisk walk every single day. Even on days I did not feel like it, even on days when the weather was not ideal and my joints were not cooperative. Movement forces circulation into the feet and lower legs, strengthens the walls of blood vessels, and over time can partially reverse early narrowing. I started with 10 minutes when 10 was all I could manage. The important thing is to start. Sign number 5, hair loss on the lower legs and the tops of the feet. This is the sign almost no one talks about. I did not learn about it from a doctor or a brochure or a health magazine. I discovered it by paying attention, by looking, really looking, at my own legs and at the legs of people around me. Hair follicles need a steady, reliable supply of blood and oxygen to function. When circulation to the lower legs and feet is significantly impaired by long-term elevated blood sugar, those follicles slowly stop receiving what they need. They do not die dramatically, they simply stop growing. Over months and years, the hair on your lower legs and the tops of your feet becomes thinner, patchier, and eventually absent, while the hair on the rest of your leg remains normal. It is quiet, it is gradual, and most people never notice it at all, which is exactly why it goes unaddressed for so long. Research published in the journal Diabetes, Obesity and Metabolism found that hair loss on the lower extremities correlates significantly with peripheral vascular disease in people with diabetes, making it a reliable, visible, and frequently overlooked marker that physicians are specifically trained to check for during foot examinations. Right now, tonight, before you go to sleep, I want you to look at your lower legs and the tops of your feet. If the hair there is noticeably thinner than on the rest of your leg, or absent entirely, please schedule a blood glucose test this week, not this month, this week. In many labs, it costs around $12. $12. That is less than 2 cups of specialty coffee. $12 and a phone call could change the entire direction of your health. Now I want to tell you about coffee because this is the part that surprises people the most when I tell them. I have been drinking coffee since I was a young woman, every single morning for over 80 years, and I believe, based on what science has now confirmed and what I have observed in my own body, that the way I drink my coffee has been one of the quiet contributors to my blood sugar remaining controlled all these years. But here is what I want you to understand. It is not simply that I drink coffee. It is how I drink it, when I drink it, and what I do not put in it. And most people, I say this with love, not judgment, are doing all 3 of those things wrong. The first mistake most people make is drinking coffee the moment they wake up, before eating anything. I used to do this myself when I was younger, and I stopped when I understood what it was actually doing to my body. When you wake up after a full night of sleep, your body has already elevated its cortisol levels, the hormone that signals your liver to release glucose into your bloodstream so you have energy for the day. It is a normal and healthy process. The problem is that caffeine amplifies this effect. It stimulates your adrenal glands further, prompting your liver to release even more glucose, and this happens before you have eaten a single bite of food. Research published in the British Journal of Nutrition confirmed that drinking black coffee on an empty stomach after overnight fasting can significantly increase morning blood glucose levels. In some continuous glucose monitoring studies, the spike has reached between 20 and 40 milligrams per deciliter before breakfast. So what do I do instead? When I wake up, I drink a full glass of water first. Then I wait 30 to 45 minutes. I eat something with protein, a boiled egg, a small portion of plain yogurt, a piece of cheese. Only then do I have my coffee, and I have it plain, no sugar, no sweetener, no cream. The protein matters enormously. It buffers the impact of caffeine on cortisol, provides amino acids the liver uses more efficiently, and prevents that unnecessary glucose spike from happening in the first place. Research has shown that consuming protein before caffeine reduces the post-meal glucose spike meaningfully. I also add half a teaspoon of cinnamon to my coffee most mornings. Cinnamon contains compounds that partially mimic the action of insulin, helping your cells absorb glucose. It is not medicine, but it is a quiet, faithful ally, and it has been in my morning cup for longer than most of you have been alive. The second mistake is the coffee people drink after the morning cup, the afternoon coffee with something sweet alongside it, or the evening cup that they tell themselves helps them relax. Caffeine has a half-life of 5 to 6 hours in the body. If you drink coffee at 3 in the afternoon, half of that caffeine is still circulating in your blood at 8 in the evening. It keeps cortisol elevated, it interferes with deep sleep, and it is during quality deep sleep that your body does much of its glucose regulation work. Poor sleep and uncontrolled blood sugar feed each other in a cycle that is genuinely difficult to break once it is established. I stopped drinking coffee after noon decades ago, not because anyone told me to, because I noticed, I paid attention to my body, and my body told me. The third thing I want to share, and this one surprised me when I first read the science behind it, is the timing of coffee before meals. About 20 to 30 minutes before my main meal of the day, I drink a small cup of plain black coffee. Coffee contains compounds called chlorogenic acid and trigonelline, which act as natural controllers of sugar absorption in your intestines. When you drink coffee before eating, these compounds slow down the absorption of glucose from the food you are about to consume. Instead of a rush of sugar flooding your bloodstream all at once, you get a gradual, manageable flow that your pancreas can handle without strain. Researchers at Brigham and Women's Hospital found that these coffee compounds significantly reduce glucose and insulin concentrations in the first 15 minutes after consuming carbohydrates compared to a control group. This costs nothing. It requires no special product, no prescription, no appointment. It is a cup of plain coffee drunk 20 minutes before lunch. I have been doing this for 40 years, and on the days I take a walk, which is most days, I also have a small cup of coffee within 30 minutes of finishing my exercise. After physical activity, your muscles are highly receptive to glucose, absorbing it from the blood like a sponge. Caffeine at that moment enhances this effect, helping muscles pull sugar out of the bloodstream even more efficiently. It is what researchers call a metabolic window, a period of heightened opportunity, and most people walk right past it every single day. The secret gift, the 70% nobody talks about. Now I want to give you something, a gift. The most important thing I have said so far, and I have saved it for last because I needed you to trust me first. Everything I have told you, The 5 signs in your feet, the coffee timing, the protein in the morning, the daily walks, all of that is real, science-backed and meaningful. But here is the truth that took me a lifetime to fully understand. All of it, every physical strategy I have shared, accounts for only 30% of the picture. Science has increasingly confirmed what many spiritual traditions have always known, that human illness is approximately 70% mental and emotional in its origin and 30% physical. 70%, the chronic stress that keeps cortisol elevated day after day, the loneliness that suppresses immune function, the grief that is held silently in the body for years without being given anywhere to go, the hopelessness that tells a person somewhere deep inside that it is not worth trying, that the damage is already done, that they are too old, too tired, too far gone. I have watched people follow every dietary rule perfectly and still decline because their hearts were broken and they had no one to mend them. And I have watched people do everything imperfectly and still thrive because they woke up every morning with a reason to be alive. I turned 108 years old this year, and when people ask me, they always ask me what my secret is. I do not say coffee, I do not say walking, I say faith. Not faith in the religious sense only, though that has been the foundation of my life. I mean faith in its broadest meaning, the daily practice, deliberate decision to believe that your life has value, that tomorrow is worth preparing for, that the people around you are worth loving, and that you yourself are worth caring for. I have prayed every single morning for as long as I can remember, not always eloquent prayers. Sometimes just the quiet acknowledgement that I am here, that I am grateful, and that I intend to be useful today. That intention, the intention to be useful, is something I believe has added decades to my life. Sincerity matters, not the performance of goodness, but the genuine, unhurried practice of meaning what you say and saying what you mean to your doctor, to your family, to yourself. So many people live in a quiet dishonesty about how they feel, how frightened they are, how much they are struggling. That dishonesty lives in the body. It becomes tension, inflammation, sleeplessness, and yes, over time, it becomes illness. Compassion matters. For others, absolutely, but perhaps more urgently, for yourself. I see so many older people carrying decades of self-blame for the years they did not exercise, for the foods they should not have eaten, for the checkups they skipped, for the symptoms they ignored. Let it go. The body you have right now, today, is the only body you can work with. And it is remarkable in its capacity for recovery when you stop fighting it and start working alongside it. Patience matters. Health is not repaired in a week or a month. It is rebuilt slowly with consistency, in the same way that damage was done slowly with inconsistency. Every morning walk you take is a deposit. Every glass of water, every protein first breakfast, every plain cup of coffee before lunch, deposits. The account fills gradually. You will not see it on a single blood test, but you will feel it, first in your energy, then in your sleep, then in your feet, and eventually in every part of how you move through your days. The healing power of helping others. I want to close with one more thing, because I believe it is the most underestimated medicine available to any human being at any age. Help someone. Find someone who needs something you have, a meal, a phone call, a piece of information, a hand with a task that has become too heavy for them to carry alone, and give it to them without expectation of return, not once, regularly. Make it a practice. I am not saying this because it sounds nice. I am saying it because I have lived it, and because the research increasingly confirms what common sense has always suggested. People who maintain a strong sense of purpose and who give their time and attention to others consistently live longer, experience less cognitive decline, report lower rates of depression and anxiety, and demonstrate measurably better immune function and cardiovascular health than those who do not. When you help someone, your brain releases oxytocin and dopamine, your cortisol drops, your inflammation markers decrease, your blood pressure responds. It is not metaphor, it is biochemistry. Generosity is medicine. And beyond the biology, there is something it does for the spirit that I cannot measure, but I know is real. It tells you, at the deepest level, that you matter, that your presence in the world is not incidental, that the years behind you have given you something worth passing forward. I think about Eleanor, I think about Ruth, and I think about how different their stories might have been if someone had sat beside them early enough, not with medications or diagnoses, but with information and love, and said, I see something in your feet. I think your body is trying to tell you something. Let me help you listen. You can be that person for someone today. Share what you have learned here. Send this to a daughter or a son. Call the friend whose feet have been bothering her and tell her to look at her lower legs tonight. Tell the neighbor who is always tired and always thirsty that there is a $12 test that might change his life. You will not always know when you have made a difference, but you will have made it. I am Deborah Jane. I am 108 years old. I walk my own garden. I make my own coffee, and I sleep through the night. I have not outlived Eleanor because I am stronger than she was. I have not outlived Ruth because I am luckier. I have outlived them because at a certain point I paid attention. I looked at my feet. I changed when I drink my coffee. I walked when I did not feel like walking. I prayed when I did not feel like praying. I helped when I felt like I had nothing left to give. And tomorrow morning I will do all of it again. Your health is not behind you. It is not fixed or finished or decided. It is built every single day in 10,000 small choices that add up to the life you are living. Start with your feet tonight. Start with your coffee tomorrow morning. And then, when you are ready, start with someone else's well-being, because that is when the deepest healing begins. Take care of yourself and take care of each other. That is everything I know.